Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I am Preety Kumar, the CEO and founder of Deque Systems, and this is Dylan, our Chief Product Officer. We are here today to talk about how the next era of technology and AI expands access and not restricts it. Before we dive in, I want to ground today's talk in a very simple truth. And maybe I'll say it the way that one of my favorite social philosophers, Charles Handy, said it. He was good at predicting the future, I'll tell you that. And he said, the future is not inevitable. We can influence it. You and I can influence it. We can only influence it if we know what we want it to be. So, as we think about it, at Deque, our mission has been to make information technology accessible to people with disabilities. And we are the makers of Ai4. It's an open source rule engine that has over 3 billion downloads. It's embedded in Chrome, it's embedded in Microsoft technologies, it's ubiquitous, essentially. Our product line, Axe Platform, allows designers, developers, testers to be able to find and fix accessibility issues at the speed of AI. With minimal effort, of course. And the reason that developers love our platform is because of zero false positives. We are very careful to make sure that every defect that we surface is really a defect. And I guess this is how good code quality should actually, what it really should look like, by default, for everyone. It's just that simple. Today, AI is racing ahead, and we have to keep up with the pace of AI. We have to make sure that AI speed doesn't get responsibility of what AI should look like to be bypassed. So let's get started. All right. What age are we living in? We are living in a tidal wave of change in software, yet again, right? We've gone through this before. GitHub, I think, said that 40% of all new code that they're generating today is being generated by AI. 40% of all new code that they write. And so this is the biggest paradigm shift that we have ever seen, okay? But here's the catch. AI's velocity may end up resulting in a lot of technical debt for all of us. 1.3 billion people with disabilities globally. If we exclude them from what we are doing, it would be a systemic failure, not just of AI coding, but of us as a society. All right. So what's going on here? What are we talking about? Digital accessibility is not keeping up with the speed of AI. Here's the problem. Digital accessibility, the way that is done today, it's really very, very slow test cycles, and it's really operating in a pre-AI kind of a world. It doesn't integrate with AI-assisted dev workflows, and so what happens? Developers bypass it. And what does that do to us? It takes weeks, not seconds. AI generates codes in seconds, and manual testing, accessibility testing is done in weeks. It's a big disconnect. But the disconnect, by the way, guys, is both ways. It's a two-way disconnect, not just accessibility testing and how it's being done, but how AI is writing code. We are shipping features at velocity that humans with. Hello? Okay. All right. But the problem is the AI training data that we have, it ignores people with disabilities and builds in inherent biases. So bias baked in, code that is produced is not going to be accessible, and accessibility is especially vulnerable to this because accessibility is about human intent. Human intent is what produces accessibility. So think about AI that's generating code that doesn't have any idea of things like accessibility, like color contrast. Have you guys, I mean, you guys are in a hotel right now, right? Have you ever struggled with trying to read a shampoo bottle or a conditioner bottle and confuse the two because the writing is so difficult to decipher? It's so faint. Well, AI is generating code with color contrast that is not legible. It's creating inaccessible forms that somebody who's blind simply cannot navigate. Okay? So why am I going on about this? Why is this important? Why should all of you care about this? Well, 96% of the web is still inaccessible. The inventor of the World Wide Web, Tim Berners-Lee, when he was presenting at our annual conference, AXCon, he said the power of the web is in its universality. It's not a nice to have. It's the very reason that the web became so transformative. So the next revolution that we are experiencing, AI, if it excludes people with disabilities, it's not going to be revolutionary, it's going to be simply broken. And it's not just about avoiding lawsuits. It's a once-in-a-lifetime chance for all of you to decide whether AI becomes the great equalizer or the great divider. Your choice. So, the risk of getting this blueprint wrong is the stakes are getting higher and higher. New regulations are being created every single day, and this is to make the information highway accessible. The most recent one is the European Union. Have any of you dealt with GDPR? If you did, you know that's really serious stuff. The European Commission takes its regulations very seriously. And the European Accessibility Act has fines for every defect, actually, and it can be up to 5% of a company's revenue. So this is not, something that you can just sniff at, right? You have to do this. And the European GDP is 20 trillion. That's a very large market as well. So can't ignore that either. All right, but let's talk about the upside. I mean, it's great, compliance, all of that good stuff, but 1 in 4 people have disabilities. It's the largest untapped market, and that does not even include the friends and families of people with disabilities. It's a $1.9 billion in discretionary spending. So this is not a detour. It's not some side street. It's actually the main street. So designing for all is the right thing to do. It helps you it helps you expand reach a loyal customer base, and strengthens your brand. Microsoft said it expanded their user base. Accessibility expanded the user base by 33%. 33%. So accessibility, the whole product is going to get stronger as a result of that. It is going to reduce your compliance risk, and you should want to avoid costly retrofitting and lawsuits, okay? It increases your market share and reaches audiences that your competition can't reach. It increases loyalty and is generally better for your brand. And if you think about the Gen Xers and the millennials, or Gen Zs, I think, yes, they are consistently going to choose your brand if you're a socially responsible company, really. So, but here's the kicker, guys. You all are here at an AI conference, and here's what I'm going to tell you. If you code with accessibility in mind, you're going to future-proof your code, okay? Because not just humans, but AI agents need the same semantic hooks that we are inserting for accessibility. So you are going to actually if you don't do accessibility, you're going to lock out humans and AI agents. So I'm going to show you what an inaccessible experience is like. Somebody who's blind navigating a website is what you're going to do, what you're going to hear now.
In fast. I better book a reservation.
Enter Mars commuter 1-way radio button checked. 1 of 7.
I better look for it. Round trip.
Round-trip radio button checked. To change the selection, press space. ... button. To activate, press enter.
I wonder what this ... button is.
Space.
I guess it's nothing because it's not working.
Button. To activate, press enter.
I wonder what this button here is. It doesn't have a label. Let's push it.
Space.
Doesn't seem to be working either. ...
button. To activate, press enter.
Well, I was just here.
Combo box, 12 p.m. To change the selection, use the arrow key. 10:07 a.m.
Let's leave at 7 a.m.
Yes, radio button checked.
Yes.
To change this.
What am I saying yes to? I'm confused. Maybe it's a sign I shouldn't be going to Mars.
Okay, so this is about travel, but it's also about work. It's about your studying. It's about your playing. It's about everything. And you're going to be actually the same thing is true for AI agents. So, what do we need to do as a group here? We need to fight fire with fire. If AI creates inaccessible code at scale, we must be part of the solution, don't you think? And we can use AI agents to catch and fix accessibility defects in real time, and at the same speed as we are creating code. And the only way to close this gap is to do that. And we're going to have Dylan show you that now. So Dylan. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Preety. Can I have the clicker?
Yep.
Thanks. All right. Thank you, Preety. So, this is a terrible slide. Can you see that? All right, so all of you probably used AI coding agents. This is what a typical workflow looks like. You have a user working with a AI agent that's embedded into an IDE like VS Code, for example, and the user gives the AI agent some instructions to create some code. The agent goes away, creates that, shows it up in the IDE, and there's a sort of loop that you go through in that. So what we do at Deque is with the Axe platform, we add some capabilities into that. So the Axe platform has two main things that it does. The one capability is knowledge. We have the highest quality data and knowledge in the industry. All the certified accessibility professionals in the world take our courses in preparation for the certification exam. And in fact, our Axe Assistant outperforms GPT when answering questions for that certification exam. And we make that available through the Model Context Protocol to your AI agent. So your AI agent can ask a question like, what are the requirements for implementing this form in an accessible way? And can get those requirements back and then use those requirements when implementing the code. So that's one of the ways that we make that available to you. The second way is AI agents are great at generating code, but they're not very consistent. So if you ask an AI agent to do something twice on the same day, it'll do it in two different ways. Just this weekend, I was trying out GPT-5, trying to get it to create a clone of Pac-Man for me, so doing some vibe coding with that. And I was struck by the inconsistency because every time I would ask it to do some changes, it would often not be able to actually edit the code, and it would have to replace all the code. And when it did that, a lot of the things that were good about it, or the things that I liked about the previous version, were actually changed. And the screen looked different, the little ghosts looked different, didn't operate correctly, and I actually gave up on it. But that's been getting better and better, but it's still something that we're going to have to deal with. Nobody's going to ship code that hasn't been tested, right? Who's going to ship production code that hasn't been tested? So the second thing that we provide as part of the Axe platform is consistent testing that you can apply in sort of a code, test, fix loop. And that's the testing capability here of the Axe platform. And so this is how we envision compliance, accessibility compliance at the speed of AI. So let me show you what this looks like. I took a little video of myself in VS Code using Copilot in agent mode. And you have the code on the side. You have the local host instance of my application running in the terminal here. I have some basic Copilot instructions, and I'm going to ask it to analyze my localhost 3033 for accessibility and fix any issues that it finds. So the first thing it's going to do is look for any tools that are available through MCP and other things and instructions to figure out how to do this. It found our MCP tool and it asked for permission to run that, and now it's analyzing that application running on my local machine. It found 3 different types of issues. It found color contrast issues. It found missing alt text for images and links that have no accessible name. So now those are pretty critical issues for a screen reader user. They wouldn't be able to see those links. They wouldn't know what they are. They wouldn't be able to see those images and understand what they are. So now, given that, it also receives information back from us on how to fix that, and now it's going and actually applying, the AI agent is looking at the code and trying to locate that. Because one of those is a color contrast issue, it knows that it's got to look in the CSS, and it's going to look to the CSS file. It's also found the image problem inside a recipe card component, even though that recipe card occurred 8 times on that page. It's determined that that's in that one recipe card. And then the third thing it's doing is those links without a name were in the footer for LinkedIn and GitHub, and it's found the component, the sort of footer component that's responsible for that, and it's analyzing that code right now. So pretty soon you'll see it pop up, some suggestions here. The rest of this is really just the agent doing its work, applying the changes to the actual code. So here it picks a slightly darker background color. The text is white on that button, and so in order to get a higher contrast, it's applying a darker background color to that. And obviously it's using this not in a vibe coding mode where it's just applying the fixes, but it's actually asking me to accept them or change them. The second thing it's done is it's found that that recipe actually has a name. And instead of applying sort of a hard-coded alternative text to that image, it's applying that recipe name from the code as a good alt text for that image. And then the third thing it's doing, because those are icon links, one pointing to GitHub and one pointing to LinkedIn, it knows that it needs to apply a non-visual alternative text to that. So it's chosen ARIA label as a technique for applying an accessible name without changing the layout of the page. And now after that, it's asking for permission to validate this using the MCP server once again. I'm going to give it permission to do that, and then it'll validate that. And that's really an example of how you can do the coding, the testing, the fixing of that, and the validation of that, and then it's sort of in a tight loop where you're using the AI agent and its strength of understanding what the user wants to do, understanding the code, but you have the security of a trustworthy, consistent testing and remediation tool at the back end, which will give you the results, the guaranteed results that you want. So this is what we call accessibility to the speed of AI. You give the AI agent some instructions to do what you want it to do. It asks the Axe platform for help, either through requirements or through understanding how to fix it or through testing. The AI agent takes that information and applies it to the code, and then the developer can, of course, decide what to do with that, whether to accept that or edit it or reject that particular change. So if you want to talk about this more, we're at booth 149 in the exhibit hall. You can also take that QR code if you want to sign up for the waitlist. We have a waitlist for the Axe MCP product right now, or if you want a demo from our salespeople. And I think we have 1 minute, 30 seconds for if there's any question. Anybody has a question? No questions? What? Okay, well, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.